Today we're diving deep into the art of building confidence. This skill alone can save your life, pad your bank account, and make you so much more attractive. How can I build self-confidence? Why do I struggle with low confidence? How can I stop caring about what others think? How can I improve my confidence in social situations? And what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? Stick around to the end of the episode and I'll get vulnerable with you and tell you my take on this. I'm Will Mosley. For 22 years, I've worked on being confident, just being able to be good with myself and okay with myself. Though for the last 13 years, it'd be hard to say that I'm not probably the most charismatic person in the room. I'd like to condense my 22 years of knowledge into 1 hour, with the hopes of gifting you joy and love for yourself, your community, your loved ones, and your work. I personally believe confidence comes down to vulnerability, honesty with yourself and others. Most people restrict themselves from saying what's on their mind. They're afraid of the judgment, the spotlight, the anxiety that comes with speaking to others. So instead, they just avoid or say something surface. By doing this, you can create an inconsistency in yourself. You think one thing, but you voice another. When your mind and voice are synchronized, there's not so many filters to kind of go through. Confidence is saying what you mean, unafraid, unfiltered, and genuine. I want to help you find that in yourself. When you're confident, you radiate energy. Your words are bullets that pierce through the toughest, saddest, depressed individual, pulling back the veil and waking them up from their existential autopilot. Like Inception, your vulnerability can be the seed that unlocks the door for the people around you. I'll break down confidence into 7 parts. Part 1, working out. Part 2, skill transfer. Part 3, talking to strangers. Part 4, self-love. Part 5, negative energy. Part 6, risk management. And Part 7, leadership. This has always blown my mind a little bit. 93% of you that watch the show regularly aren't yet subscribed. Our goal is 50%. Could I ask you a favor? If you love the show and like what we're doing and you want to support us, the free, simple way you can do that is by hitting the subscribe button. My commitment to you is I'll do everything in my power to make this show better and better each week. We'll dive into the self-development questions that you want answered most, and even more importantly, I'll continue bringing the energy. Do we have a deal? Part 1, working out. And I mean that in both ways. I mean that in actually physically working out, and 2, taking the things we learn from working out, the principles from working out, and applying that to self-confidence, applying that to pretty much that. So I'm going to start with like what you typically do when you're trying to work out, you're trying to kind of get in the gym. A lot of us kind of know a little bit of this, so I won't go too deep. And then I'll work on how we can apply that to self-confidence. So I always struggled. I was never the person to like want to go to the gym. I always felt like the weakling. I always felt as though like I'd watch a lot of anime like and be like, pretend like I'm a ninja and feel like I'm a ninja as a kid, but like getting me into the gym, getting me around people, oh my God, like getting me under the bar and lifting weights, all that stuff sounded petrifying, okay? And I do think that having confidence in yourself or being confident around others can feel a lot like that same thing. And I put off going to the gym until I want to say my early 30s. Okay? Imagine 30 years, because I had this message in my mind that I wasn't good enough, that I'm just a nerd, you know, I'm a coder, I'm this. I don't really need to kind of do that. I'm good. I'm okay. Like avoidance pretty much. Like you figure out another way. We got the sun coming in bright here, so I'm just gonna see if I can kind of. Yep, doesn't look like we can. All right, we got a little bit. Okay, if I pull over just a little bit. Okay, thanks for chilling with me. And I just never went. And that's really sad because I could have got the compounding growth of working out and taking care of my body, since like the age of honestly like 15, 16. You know what I mean? Like that could have been a thing. And what a shame that was. Because working out is actually quite fun. It doesn't have to be anxiety ridden. You don't have to feel this huge peer pressure that a lot of times comes with kind of like this gym bro mentality of like, let's go. Like it just is, you don't have to go through all of that. And it wasn't until we ended up taking our kids to the YMCA, and getting them in the daycare over there. And I think I'd read Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he makes the point of like, it's just 1%. You do something really small, like it does not need to be big. The first day, maybe you just lay out your gym clothes. The second day, he makes a very fine point of like, you don't need to do a lot to get insane amounts of, you don't have to do a lot to get the compounding effect, over time. A lot of us, I'm very much this person is that I'll do a lot up front and then I'll drop off. Okay. And the thing is, if you progressively just amp up and amp up and amp up, you actually get much farther. And so with self-confidence, a lot of that is that. So as I started going to the gym, okay, the first thing that I did was I set a timer. I said, okay, I'm gonna literally, and this was the wife, and she thought I was crazy at first because she also, I think had like gym. Oh man, I don't really even like the gym. We both kind of put these messages in our brain, whether it's like that's something someone else does, or for fear through our childhood or whatever. And I said, okay, all I'm gonna do is like, let's jump on the treadmill for 1 minute. Let's just try out every single one of these little things for 1 minute. Like it was a silly, like felt like a relay, like where we'd set a timer for 1 minute, we'd get on the treadmill and start, and everyone's like looking at us, it felt like. And then we jumped off and laughed, and then we went over to the weights, and we lifted weights for 1 minute, and then we stopped doing that, and then we just did all the things, and it was really silly, but it started giving us a bit of confidence. It made us feel like, this is not so bad. Well, I could do that. Because we didn't know which things to use. We didn't know what we wanted to use or how we wanted to use it. The whole point was just like getting started. Okay, 1 minute, that's too easy, gotcha. And what we found over time is that we loved going to the gym. Not because it's like, I'm going to get crazy buff or whatever. That can feel good and you can feel great about that. But because it became like more of like a bonding experience with us, we kind of found our groove of the couple of things that we like to do. Like she started looking up on TikTok, like a routine for her. I, started plugging into ChatGPT, like a workout routine for myself. And it became a lot of fun. It was like, the kids are downstairs in daycare. So we kind of get this moment in time to ourselves. So it's super scary at first. And then we started and we laughed about it and we just kept going. And now it's a staple in our household. I'll be going to the gym after this. And so coming back to self-confidence, and in the terms of, working out, like self-confidence, it doesn't come, I think it might come natural to some people, and I think it comes very unnatural to others. Okay. But I don't think that just because it comes unnatural to you, you can't learn. It was very unnatural for me to have self-confidence, and self-confidence really comes in repetition. It comes with, just like working out, in self-confidence, you don't have to be afraid. Okay, I think that's one of the biggest things, like the fear within you. It can cripple you from doing anything. You get in a social situation and you don't you see people talking, you're like, I don't want to do that. That feels terrible. Or you go to work and everyone's talking, you're in the meeting or whatever, but you don't have you can't hold your hand up, or you don't want to be called on, or because you're terrified of other people's judgment. And I think a lot of that with the gym and working out, you go into this public setting where everyone's working out and you're fearful that you'll either get shamed or get judged for not doing terrible at the workouts. But the truth of the matter is, with self-confidence, most people are self-conscious. Most people are feeling the same anxiety as you. They kind of keep their heads down, or they kind of avoid, or they kind of move. I find that there's more probably self-conscious people than self-confident people in the world, as I've kind of gone about it and go through. Now, don't get me wrong, there are your friend groups, they're small friend, where you feel like you can let loose and trust that person. You guys talk and you're a completely different person. But I think most people feel the same way that you feel right now. And knowing that is really liberating, right? If you go to the gym and you know that 80% of the people here are also kind of feeling a little bit, oh my God, just, I'm trying to work out, I'm just a little bit, this is my first time, I don't know. If you realize that you're not alone in this, it feels a lot just easier to bear. It feels so much better to know it's almost like we're all nerds here. We're all self-conscious. We're all these things. And so instead of you thinking other people are looking at you, you can be the warm energy that they wish they had, right? You can be the kind of the confidence or the key to helping other people feel a little more at ease. Wow, you're doing such a great job. Whoa, that becomes maybe the switch. You stop focusing so much on you, and then you focus on other people and encouraging. When you are encouraging people, you may have fear. Fear is natural, but it feels good. It's kind of if your kids need you for something, even though it may be something that you don't want to do, or you're it's just you even probably maybe you haven't even done it before, you still kind of just strengthen up and you do it because they need you. And other people around you actually need your energy. They need the confidence and the beauty and the goodness that you bring to the world. And you can do that. I do that every single day. I walk into the gas station, I walk into Walmart, I walk into everywhere. And I give good energy and love to strangers I don't know, and I may never see them again. But I impact their lives for the better with my confidence in self and love for others. Part 2, skill transfer. Okay? The crazy thing about confidence is when you get confident in something, an area in your life, a lot of times you can transfer that skill elsewhere, the lessons that you've learned from that skill to something else. So if you learn to work out, we'll keep on working with the workout situation. If you learn to work out and you feel good about that, a lot of the methodologies that come with working out, and I'll make a lot of other examples, you can then apply that to anything that you want to get confidence in, okay? So I'm going to specifically talk more about gaining confidence in skills or in areas of your life versus confidence in speaking to other people, and we'll get to that because I think this also still just applies. So if I want to learn how to be an interior designer, or I want to learn how to lay floors, actually we'll go with laying floors right now because I'm doing laying floors. So this is also a good example of something that I have no clue what to do or how to do, and how I'm now progressing with taking other ways that I've gained confidence and placing it here. So for a very long time, let's say 3 years in our house, we have not changed out the floors. Okay, we've had the idea of okay, what if we get someone in here to do it? What if I do it? What if I don't do it? Like what we kind of mull it over and over and over. And finally, after 3 years, again, this is why like just breaking the ice and figuring out how to lean into like confidence, it can be a powerful thing. We talked about procrastination in I think our last episode, and having confidence can absolutely be the barrier or be the thing that just breaks through procrastination. But so many people in your life will also tell you you can't do something, which is part of the reason why you don't have confidence. Okay, I've been told many times, Will, your jokes aren't funny. Will, you're not this. Will, you're not that. And guess what? It's very hard not to take some of that energy into you, okay? And to reject everything that they're saying. And you hear that enough time, especially from your parents, from your friends, from your loved ones. Oh, you can't do that. Like, you need a degree to do that. Oh, you can't do that. They'll tell you can't. So not only do you have where you initially could be starting neutral, a lot of times you're starting back here because so many people have told you that you can't. So you have to overcome even like their voices just to kind of get to just the starting point. And I think the floors were that way too, where it was like, Will, you don't know how to lay floors. Will, like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to mess up. You're going to like this. What do you, no, like it's, and that stopped me from taking action because it's like, if you pay for floors, it can be expensive. And then also if I buy the materials and I mess up, oh man, that's a waste too. And so one day, not too long ago, was at Sam's Club, and I was looking and I was like, it was like these, the vinyl, whatever stuff, the plank stuff. Again, see, I'm not here with laying floors. I'm at the very beginning of this journey, but I can also tell you that I'm unafraid. I was at Sam's Club and I was looking at the price of like these vinyl planks or whatever, and I was like, that's not as much as I thought it would be, because initially the price barrier was the thing that kind of stopped me, and then the skill thing was also the next thing on top of that. But like, and the sun is just killing us right now, so thanks for bearing with the massive sun that's going on. And so I looked at the price, and the price seemed okay, and I was like, Laura, look at it's not that much. It's not crazy. It's like, let's just do this. Let's just make this happen. And she looked at me and she's like, you think you can do it? I was like, I think I can do it. And so we bought a couple packs, took it home, and I knew from what I've learned with all the things in life, you have more, better, new, right? So we bought the planks, took it home, and took it out of the box. I was like, look, this is going to be kind of like, I was like, this is going to be easy. I got this. This is good. So sometimes when you do something, you kind of amp yourself up, even though you don't know what the exact next step is. And I think that's okay. You can amp yourself up. You can get things wrong. And that's the thing with self-confidence. Like, you trust that you can figure it out. You trust in yourself that I'm a problem solver. I've got this. I've solved other problems just as big as this. I can do this. And so came home, opened up the box, and I realized very quickly that, like, first we were trying to lay the planks and I was laying the planks wrong, like they weren't clicking properly. And at any point in time, these are opportunities for you to give up, okay? At any given time, and this is what happens when you don't have self-confidence, is you do something, you're like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this. You just start talking yourself out of it. You go approach the girl, but then you're like, no. You have to push past the pain of doing it. You have to know that you will be okay on the other side. You have to believe that you are enough. A lot of this just comes down to I am enough. If you believe that you are enough, if you believe that you are a problem solver, if you believe in yourself, a lot of the things that you thought impossible in life become very possible. And that's really liberating. So these floors, right? I'm like looking at this, I'm putting the wood on the wrong way. And I start, I'll go to TikTok or whatever. I don't use TikTok for that much, but TikTok, like whenever I need to learn something quick, TikTok is the place to go, okay? Whenever I need, like if I'm going to the gym and I need to know exactly like how this workout works, like how this kind of, position, like what I'm supposed to be doing in this moment, TikTok's where it's at. I use YouTube as like, deep dive. I loved listening and learning about these big, deep thinkers. So it's kind of like, and then I have the movies. Movies allow me to escape. So I love media in all different forms, but it just depends on where I'm at as I'm learning. And so I went to TikTok, and sure enough, there's someone that's like, okay, this is how you click them in place, or this is how you whatever. Looked at that. That gave me a little bit of confidence. Like, okay, they can do it. I can do it. I did that. We figured that out. And then we came to a vent hole. And in this video, the TikTok video, they're like, hey, you can use a knife, like a razor blade cutter, to kind of cut this, and you'll be okay. Great. And so I ended up going to the store. So like, again, these are step by step. So I went to the store, Walmart, got a razor blade cutter and a couple of things to measure it out. And when I got back, it just would not cut the way I needed to cut for the vent. I could tell already that either I was going to hurt myself and cut myself, or it wasn't doing what the video said it would. Again, this could be another point where you give up. Self-confidence. You have to believe that you can figure things out. And sometimes it's okay to say, this is not for me. Like changing brakes, not for me. It's okay. But I realized that I went back to TikTok and looked up how to cut a vent hole properly or whatever, like in the wood. And again, you can tell that I don't know half the stuff. Like I love how like I kind of generalize some of this stuff, and I'm sure that anyone that might be an expert, like, oh, what's the thing is you cut again, not an expert, but gaining confidence more and more and more, not limiting yourself and saying I can't. And I realized I needed more tools to figure out how to cut this thing. And again, this is an ongoing journey of me knowing that if I keep on going at it and don't give up and don't limit myself and continue to chip away every day at this problem, I will get there. And I'll be proud of myself for doing it. And even if you just took on too big of a project, there's so many things that you learn in that process that you can then transfer to other parts of your life. And I think that's what's so powerful about knowledge. You can listen to a book, you can listen to a fantasy book about love and romance, right? And then you're like, I can apply some of this, even though these are fictional characters, I can apply this in my relationship, right? Skill transfer is real. All the things that I'm talking about, I've done, Yeah, I've listened to like hot, steamy, like dragon fantasy novels or whatever. I was like, maybe that's how my wife is thinking, because it's like, it's written from a female author. And a lot of the stuff, I was like, oh, this works. I was listening to The Diary of a CEO, and I don't know what the doctor's name was, but there was something that he said about how to help people solve their own problems, and it just really hit. And guess what? I took some of that and I applied it into my life, and it worked. Some things don't work, some things do work, but the more and more that you realize that you are the catalyst, you can decide and be like, okay, I have proof that I have confidence in something. Okay, that's the first thing. The first thing was just learning to just do anything that anything, whether it's going to the gym or, learn, like, and you have examples where you were confident or you learned something and you achieved. I promise you, in your life, you are not a failure. There's many things, I'm sure, in your life that you've done that has, you felt good about. Use that energy. Use that to say, I have proof that I've done something. I've stuck to something. I didn't know how to do it, and then I learned how to do it. Okay? That's all confidence is. You have something you don't know, and then you dedicate time and energy to learning more and more and more until you are like, I got this. Too easy. Learning how to dive, off of the diving board. Learning how to, there's so many different things. Now, there's a way to accelerate this, and I talked about this, I think, in my last episode about procrastination, is the more, better, new technique. If you're hung up on anything, if you apply more, if you do more of whatever it is that needs to do. So if I really wanted to accelerate my ability to lay floors, instead of me laying floors for 30 minutes a day or whatever, or once a week, I would accelerate that to, 3 times a week or 5 times a week, or instead of 30 minutes, 2 hours a day. You accelerate anything on the time horizon, you give it that time, you will learn much, much quicker. So you can do the more, and then let's say that you are giving it all the time you can definitely be better, okay, at the craft. Whether that's getting better, finding better YouTubers. So I told you, I looked up TikTok for, maybe I find a YouTuber, a long video, and I take the time to invest in watching them do this all the way through versus me watching a 60-second video. I can get better at the craft. And if you do more, better, if you do that, really, you can go, you can be an elite at anything that you set your mind to, you want to. You want to learn to talk to girls, if you are only approaching a girl once a month or once a week, or if you're only trying to talk to trying to go out and say, hey, that's not enough repetition. It's not a repetition. It's kind of like going to the gym and doing one push-up and saying, okay, that's it. Now, listen, if that's your baseline where you start, is I'm going to do one push-up. I've never done push-ups before. That's cool. I'm good with that. Do that first, and then say, okay, I can do 2 push-ups. Okay, I can do 2 push-ups 3 days a week, right? You start wherever you are, but if you want to accelerate your growth, your confidence, you have to do more, okay? You can't get away with not doing more. And the more that you come to people in self-confidence, right? There's confidence in yourself, and there's confidence speaking and talking to others, engaging with others. Self-confidence is knowing that you can do something, you can achieve, you can whatever. And you find where your base is, and then you apply the more, better. And that, you can do that you can do that, and you have examples, you have proof from any skill that you've done in the past to give you the blueprint of saying, I've done this, so I definitely can do this. Okay. Part 3, talking to strangers. Talking to strangers is, I don't know, it's one of my favorite things. When I was in high school, honestly, through school, I would avoid people. I would go around. I would just felt so I don't know. I just didn't feel good in myself. And what's beautiful about self-confidence and talking to strangers is once you empower yourself, right? Like we were talking about in the last chapter, where you gain confidence by doing more, better. You realize that you are enough. You build yourself up inside. Talking to other people becomes way less intimidating, because if you feel like you are enough and you have confidence in yourself, you'll start to look around and you'll start to notice the cues of other people that aren't very confident in themselves, that are either having a hard day. They'll have frustration in their eyebrows, or they'll look overwhelmed, or they'll look, they'll be hands in pockets, kind of shoulders up, kind of afraid. You'll start to realize and notice the things that you maybe did before, but now that you've kind of learned to kind of believe in yourself and know that whatever it is that you put your mind to, you really can do it, you'll notice that there are a lot more other people walking around you that are either unhappy with their life, that are stressed about their life, that are just angry, that are negative, that are self-conscious, just like you see them, but they can't see you, in a sense. They don't see the beauty in themselves. And one of the biggest gifts you can give to other people, other strangers, that you weren't gifted yourself, maybe not enough people did this for you, is you can go in any store, you can go anywhere. I do this every day. And it's not because I'm like saying, I need to talk to 50. No, I don't. It's not really the thing. It's just like, I go into the store and I see like someone like is just like wearing like, I don't know, like an ugly Christmas sweater, right? They made a choice to do that, okay? And even if they don't have these kind of feelings of like sadness or anger or whatever, they chose to put on an ugly Christmas sweater. You can say, hey, that Christmas sweater looks amazing. Like, or that's a vibe. And what happens is this: when you are genuine, when you start to, your mind starts to say exactly what, like you have a thought in your head and it actually comes out without you filtering and stopping yourself. And say, hey, like that ugly Christmas sweater looks great. You don't know this person from anything. They'll a lot of times they'll do like this take back, and then they'll look down at whatever it is that you're talking about. They'll say, thank you. They a lot of times will not continue the conversation, like, or they won't. A lot of times it'll just be like, but you can tell that thing that you just did penetrated them, that it made them feel better, made them feel more confident about themselves. And that is a beautiful gift to give to somebody every day, all the time. You see them, you're like, whoa, you look really like tall today. You know, you just look like, do I? Like, yeah, you look great. And that is what you wanted, right? When you're when you're self-conscious, when you don't feel good about yourself, that's what you wanted. You wanted someone to come over and say, like, hey, you're amazing. Hey, like, the drawings that you do, they look great. Like, those are the things that as we become confident in ourselves and believe in ourselves, we can then gift to others. And it is one of the best things, I think one of the best parts about my day. You have that, but also when you are self-confident, okay? If you come in and you're confident, your shoulders are up, you're going, you're moving, you got stuff you're doing, people see that. You may not see everybody, but a lot of people see you, and they can't help but like, wow, this person is really happy. This person is like, what is going on? Because what happens is you're in an environment where there's a lot of people that have negative energy or low self-esteem, or there's like that energy carries in the room. That's a real thing. And then you have a force, which can be you, that comes through this energy, just happy and up, and we are going and motivated, and let's go. And people are like, what the fuck just happened? It happens every day of my life, all the time. Wow, you're so energetic. Like, you just are always in a good mood. You're always like, you know why I'm like majority of the time in a good mood? I feel good about myself. I have confidence in myself and what I'm doing, and I feel good about the work that I'm doing. And I just like, I've crafted my life, and I've worked on my life, and I've worked on myself. People see that. So by you just being self-confident, you can impact others just by your energy. And they're like, yeah, that's dope. And then you can also directly, by talking to strangers, impact them by just like, hey, yo, like, bro, that tattoo is dope. Yeah, thanks. And a lot of times they'll reciprocate the same thing. Whoa, Will, your hair looks like, or well, your hair looks great, or your beard looks great too. And you'll realize that there's so many more people that reciprocate love and kindness, and you both feel good. You both exchange this, like, whoa, you may never see this person again. It's okay, great. But the more and more you do that, you'll realize the more and more that the world is this place of that you can impact someone's day, and then you also don't have to be impacted and feel low in this world, because you're not. You're beautiful. You're amazing. Part 4, self-love. Okay. I think self-love comes a lot down to crafting the day that you want. I really think that self-love comes a lot down to like your calendar, in having the freedom to choose a lot of what you do. because a lot of times I think, and I talked about this in procrastination with people pleasing, a lot of times we allow our schedule to be picked for us. We allow others to take our time, our energy. Whether by us voluntarily saying, yeah, I got you, or by it being consequence of just responsibilities and duties that you have. And I think if you go back to your calendar, okay, and you clear everything off your calendar, and there's a couple of responsibilities that you have, okay? Like, for instance, taking the kids to school, right, or picking those kids up. And I want to be very specific about there's not that many things that you have to. And I'm going to add work to this in just a second, because obviously you have to work. I think if you clear your day, and I do this probably weekly, maybe every other week, and you look and you say, okay, what type of day do I want to have? And I'm going to look at my calendar right now so I can kind of give you the gist of it. I actually did this last night. So first ask yourself, okay, how long do I sleep? And I promise this will come back to self-love in a minute. How long do I sleep, or how long would I like to sleep for? Some people might be 8 hours, some people might be 5, some people might be, it just depends. Because your sleep, that's non-negotiable. You got to take care of your body. Some people can operate off less. Some people need a lot of sleep. So those hours are technically off the table of what we can do with our time. And so for me, my sleep is from 12 to 5. And it's 5 hours of sleep is just fine for me. Then you look at what your job is, what do you got to, how are you making money right now? Because you don't really have a choice specifically in that. I mean, you do have a choice, okay? If you're a W-2 worker and you have your typical 9 to 5, obviously put that on your calendar. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. If you're a contractor, you have a little bit more control over this and how you want to structure your day. Now, after that, all that time that's on your calendar, you can do the things that you want to do. You can go to the movies, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can read self-help books, you can go, there's so many things that you can do, but a lot of times you don't do because other people somehow have control over that time, or you talk yourself out of doing any of the things. Okay? So for me, and I talked about this, I think, in maybe strengths and weaknesses, one of them. I pretty much have 4 buckets. Okay? We talked about the sacred calendar, but I have, work that I'm doing. I have deep work, which is pretty much the next thing that I'm working on. I have family, and then I have personal, right? I have soon to be 6 boys. All of my boys, need my attention, need my love, need my energy. My wife needs my energy. And so for me, I have a block of time that is dedicated to my family every day. And I think a lot of us, we don't really have maybe a block of time for family. We just kind of say that all time is family time. And I don't think that this is maybe the best way to do it. I think you can do it this way, and I'm sure that plenty of people are able to make it work. But I think when all time is everyone else's time, you find ways to not prioritize yourself. You find ways to not work on the things that you actually want to work on, which then can lead to not having self-love. You feel like you don't have the energy for yourself. And I felt this way for a long time in my life. So I have a block of time, actually 2 blocks of time, okay? So I'm just going to give you my calendar, and I'll kind of break down how self-love's incorporated in here after I tell you my calendar. So we have sleep from 12 to 5. We have gym from 5 to 6. We have YouTube investment, and I call it an investment, from 6 to 8. 8 to 10 is workout with the wifey. From 10 to 12, it's client calls. 12:30 or 12 to 12:30 prospect calls, or sorry, 12:30 to 1 is prospect calls. I think I just missed something. Sorry. 10 a.m. client calls, so we got that for about an hour and a half, and then we have prospect calls for 30 minutes until noon, and then from noon to 1 is relationship building. 1 to 3 is more work stuff. 3 to 7 is my siesta or my big family time block. From 7 to 10 is skill development, and then 10 to 11 is planning and strategy, and 11 to 12, admin and documentation. Okay? And so in that breakdown of my calendar, if you're looking a little closely, like I technically do like Walmart and Uber for about 8 hours a day, but nowhere in that schedule did you really hear Uber and Walmart. Okay. And I want to compare that to your day job. Okay. There's a day job that you have. Maybe it's an office job. Maybe you're working in the kitchen. I don't know. Like there's different, well, I don't know what your work is. But here's the thing. A lot of the jobs that we have nowadays, we can actively do the job, but we can passively listen or do something else, right? So for instance, I can drive, which is me active doing the job, but I can also be on the phone and talking and doing other things, okay? Or listening, to YouTube, like YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever, like listening to the stuff. There's a lot of stuff that can happen there. And if you look at your 24 hours, let's count out sleep, take out sleep. I'll make it so everyone has 8 hours of sleep, which, not me, but we'll just say, let's cut out the 8 hours of sleep, 16 hours of that. And let's cut out, you can cut out like family time, right? So let's cut out the family time. So now you have 12 hours. You have 12 hours a day that you could dedicate to yourself and like learning and just exploring the passions that you have. Now there's active ways you can do that, right? Like going to the movie theater. Of course, you need to carve out a little bit of time to do that in your calendar, but you can also listen to your favorite shows and learn all these different things and fill up your cup, take care of yourself. And I think that's crazy how much we can invest in ourselves. You can invest at least 12 hours a day into yourself. You should do that. Don't let other people take that time from you. Whether that's like talking on the phone, just talking on the phone with people that are negative and just like they're sapping all your energy. You could use that hour to learn something more for yourself or listen to the fantasy novels you love or the adventures and all that stuff. Self-love, taking care of yourself. And you have every day you can do that for yourself. You look at your calendar, you'll realize like there's a lot of spaces that are taken up by everyone else that you can just remove and then fill every part of that calendar with things activities you want to do, things you want to listen to, learn, all that stuff. And all of that builds self-confidence. That builds passion, that builds fire, that helps you get to the next stage of your life. There's so much to it. Your day, your calendar, your time is your time. It's no one else's. Don't give it away. Part 5, negative energy. I could probably make a whole video about negative energy, but we won't do that. Not yet. Negative energy is the antagonist, it is the complete opposite of self-love, self-confidence. Anyone that is negative is a threat in your life. I promise you. Anyone that constantly wakes up and it's like negative people, they can be self-conscious. They can not believe in themselves, but there's a difference between being self-conscious and being like, life is terrible. I hate life. Life is the worst. Like it is a lot of times I find negative people, they have very much a victim mentality, where everything is everyone else's fault. They don't want to take accountability for their own problems, their own life. They feel as though everyone else got this, I didn't get this, I deserve this automatically. These people will drain your energy. They will take away your self-love. In the thing with negative people, and I was listening to Diary of a CEO, and I was listening to Barbara. I don't know her last name, but she's from Shark Tank, right? And she's talking about like how she does not allow negative people in her company culture, because she's like, negative people are thieves. And at first I was like, that's a bit harsh. And the truth of the matter is by the end of the conversation, I agreed. I was like, because what negative people like to do is they need They need a host, right? A lot of times they're parasites. They need someone to tell other people. They need someone else to be able to tell like how terrible their day is. Let me tell you about how terrible my day is. Let me tell you about this drama that happened. Let me tell you about they need other people to share their pain. They're suffering, they're in pain, so they want other people to be in pain too. And so they come around, and a lot of times a positive person, they want to help a negative person, right? They want to kind of be like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You're good. You've got this. Because they think that maybe like this negative person might be self-conscious and it's just like they're having a hard time. But you'll be able to tell if you have a negative person versus a self-conscious person by the way they talk. You'll say, hey, they're like, I have XYZ problem. And it's like, oh, cool. Have you tried like this, or have you listened to this thing, or like maybe you'll go down the list, and like the first thing, this doesn't mean someone's negative. The first thing, I'm like, no. But everything that you say to this person, they have a reason why not. These are negative people. They're the why notters of the world. Like, why I can't ever do anything. And so that mentality, if you surround yourself with many of those people, right? They are the zombies of the world. Like you may be negative, but you can be empowered. You may not wake up like glass half full all the time like Will is. Like I naturally do that. And I know there are other people that are just like, but you being negative, you're only robbing from yourself. You rob a lot from other people, but like you're robbing from yourself because it's the opposite of self-confidence. Self-confidence is saying, I know this is hard, but I can do this. I can get through this. I can figure this out. Being negative is the opposite. It's the, I can't do this. I could never do this. I won't do this. They can do it. I can't. Like it's a I can't, and versus I can. And if you surround yourself by people that are always I canters versus I can, it's going to be very hard for you to also help self-confidence in yourself and build yourself up. And sometimes that's an environment. Sometimes you didn't choose that environment to start with. You're born in a family of I canters, or people that just are mad at life and angry. Don't get me wrong, I've had a phase in my life where I was just so mad at the world and just angry, right? Feeling as though I was just like, why does this keep on happening? And like you can, someone that is good can become negative. They can become the villain. They can become just like, what's the point of life? And it's very hard to it's very hard to help anyone out of that circle, that cycle. It takes a lot to be able to get out of the cycle of what's the meaning of life. Life is terrible. But the fact is that like there is a lot of beauty in life. And life is very hard. Life is like it's a lot. You know what I mean? There's so many things that we go through. So many things unsaid, so many things unspoken. But the truth of the matter is the more that you become senile and just mad at the world, it seems like you just attract more and more of that energy. It seems like the more you continue to just dwell, the more people that come around you that are mad at life too. And that is not the way you get out of it. If you are a negative person, surrounding yourself with people that are genuinely just hard workers and trying to move forward and doing the thing, if you just change your environment, that can help you get out of it. On the flip side of that, if you are a confident person, a person that's just kind of doing it, you can only help someone for so long. You can only say, hey, look, these are the things that I've did that, kind of helped. And if someone doesn't want your help or doesn't want your advice or doesn't want your energy of like, yo, you're doing great. And you have to let them be, And this could be hard too sometimes, because these might be, people that you deemed close or whatever at some point in time. But you have to know that negativity is just, it's the villain of self-confidence. Be very careful about the negative people that you bring into your life. Part 6, risk management. So you've talked about negativity. We've talked about how to kind of build that confidence in yourself. We've talked a lot about that stuff. I think a lot of self-confidence also comes down to risk management. And I didn't really learn about this until this year. And I have this phase, this kind of this pattern of I'll get really confident or really excited about doing something, okay? And that's great energy. Then I'll do that thing, and then another shiny object comes along, and I'm like, I want that shiny object too. And guess what happens when you start focusing on the shiny object? The current thing in your hand, you stop doing the things that got you there. You stop, like, there are things that made you confident with this, with this other thing. You're now putting energy towards this other thing. And a lot of times you're putting all your energy into the shiny object. And so weirdly enough, because you haven't gotten said shiny object just yet, you haven't gotten it. So you're not maybe confident that you will get it. But then you also feel as though you see that you're not doing so well over here, which makes you a little self-conscious because you stop laying on the gas. So you stop laying on the gas on what your current is. You start chasing what your future thing is, but you haven't seen the returns from the future thing. So you are questioning whether you'll ever get said shiny thing. And then you feel like shit because you're not doing what you're supposed to do over here. That can mess with your self-confidence. And the way I've found to reason or reckon with this is it's just asset allocation, okay? Risk management. So the thing that you are doing that you are confident with right now, and I'm going to apply this to like let's just say it's your current job and your next job, okay? So that, that makes sense, but this also can be within the skill too. Like, let's say that you're trying to learn, I don't know, shooting arrows or whatever. Like, let's say that you're really good at swimming, but you also want to now learn track. What you want to do is you want to evaluate what you have right now. You want to evaluate what you have right now, okay? So the current thing, not the shiny object, but the current thing that you're doing that you feel confident about that you're doing, let's just call this your job, your current job. You want to evaluate what it is right now, okay? And I'm going to tell you it probably lands into this one bucket. So you have low risk, low reward, low risk, moderate reward, low risk, high reward. Probably the best place to be. Low risk, high reward would be, because you don't have high risk in it, but you're also getting heavy returns from it. That's really good. Most of us, our current job that we're doing, or at least if it's our base job, they're paying us money, whatever, it's probably low risk, moderate reward, right? You're getting paid a paycheck, which is a pretty good reward, but it may not be like a crazy paycheck, which might be, high reward. It's probably not like a terrible check, and you might actually be there. You might be at low risk, low reward. You're not getting paid much at all, and that's okay if you're there too. But the thing to evaluate is, so you have your current job, and it probably is a low risk, moderate reward. You're getting paid okay. That's fine. And by okay, I mean like you're able to pay your bills. Maybe you don't have the best savings or the best whatever, but it is keeping you alive and afloat in life. And so then you have the thing that you maybe want to do, right? That could be like your passion of something, or it could be like the next thing, or like, you want to be a rapper, or you want to like be a YouTuber, or you want to be a TikToker, or you want, like, doesn't matter what it is. You can put anything in this bucket. The thing that you want to do, okay? First, you need to make sure that it is a high reward potential, okay? Because you don't really want to switch from your current job that you're doing right now that's getting moderate returns to something that is getting low returns or moderate returns, because it'd be the same thing. You're kind of switching from one to the other. You want to go from moderate returns to high returns, okay? So with high returns, a lot of times comes what's called high risk, right? So you could have like you have, your risk, and then you have your returns. Low risk, moderate risk, high risk, and then you have low, what are we saying? High risk. You have like high risk, low return, high risk, moderate return, high risk, high return. And so your next thing you obviously want to be like a high return, so it's probably going to be risky. So high risk, high return. And so the way you can balance that, and this is the same thing with investing, is you take a portion of your time, your most valuable asset, and you put it towards this high risk opportunity. Okay. High risk could be like applying for a brand new job or whatever, because like you may not get it. Like that's why it's risky. Being a YouTuber, you may not become a YouTuber. It's risky. It's a risky endeavor. You don't want to bet the whole farm on this risky endeavor. So I like to allocate 70% of my time to my current thing, which is typically a low risk, moderate return opportunity. And then I like to dedicate 30% of my time. And if this was a 12-hour day, it might look like 8 hours working your day job and then 4 hours working on your high risk, high reward opportunity. And that way, you're covered already. You're covered, you're chilling. Everything over here, you give it that good energy. And then the high risk, high reward opportunities will come back to self-confidence. You can give it the energy you want to, and you can also be okay if it goes to zero. Okay? You give it like 6 months, you give it enough time that you invest the time that it needs to for something to maybe happen. And sometimes you'll see immediate returns, sometimes you'll see gradually, sometimes you'll see no returns. And what's beautiful about self-confidence is that you are confident that you're doing the right thing on both ends. The not knowing is the thing that will mess you up. If you are putting in the work at your current job and you're doing that 70%, the 70% pie, the 8 hours, and then you're just over here, also, you have to give, by the way, the high risk, high reward, you have to give the same amount of effort as you would do anything. You can't like half-ass and be like, why is it not working? You have to give it the energy too. So you got to do hard work. It's not just about having 4 hours and then you do nothing. And you give it consistent hard work, those 4 hours every day for 6 months. Okay? If nothing happens over those 6 months, it's probably not a good investment, and you can be okay with that. You didn't bet the whole farm. You bet 30% of your time. It's not terrible. But on the other end, right? Let's say that things start going nuts. Like that feels really good. That shiny object is coming to fruition, like you're doing something. Now, you don't want to jump automatically into the shiny object. You want to gradually ease off. You might then say, okay, I'm going to do 60% over here, and then 40%, and then 50, and then 50, and then, you just kind of gradual it out. And all of a sudden, that high risk, high reward opportunity, because it's actually happening, it's no longer high risk. It's more moderate risk, high return, or it might even be now low risk, high return, because you've seen so much progression in it. And all of a sudden, you can then phase out your current low risk, moderate return. You phase that one out. Shoop, that one goes off the table. Then you bring in the other one. And that's now your current thing. You dedicate 70% here. And guess what? Now you can go out after the next high risk, high reward thing as well. If you're anything like me, some people are happy where they're out. They're like, this is good forever. But I'm always like leveling up. Like, what's the next thing? And I think that can help you a lot with your confidence, because you can be confident that you're doing the right thing. You're confident that even if this goes to zero, you gave it the energy and you're okay with it going to zero. You also know that you're taking care of your family and doing the work that needs to be done. This is an example of this. YouTube, this podcast, whatever, it is a high risk, high reward opportunity. And I've decided, I've dedicated 4 hours to this per day. And what's interesting is because I'm seeing massive growth, whatever, it's really now turning into a moderate risk, high return opportunity. So I've already seen the phases of it starting to kind of whatever. And even if it wasn't, though, I'm okay with it. I gave it my best energy, my best shot. You have to give it enough time horizon, you have to give it enough time to grow. That's the one biggest thing that I used to do up until this year, where I wouldn't give it the energy and the consistency, the more better, to see it come to fruition. And that's an investment. You can't invest one time or 10 times into a stock and then expect to get massive returns. You got to keep on investing, keep on going up. All right, we're going to move on to our last chapter. Part 7, leadership. I can talk about this. I could talk a lot about this, but we got just this chapter right now. Maybe this will come up later in self-development, and we'll have a whole video on this. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a whole video about leadership. I think for the majority of my life, I've been a terrible leader, but maybe a great motivator, okay? And I think these two are very different. I've always been a person at work where I come in, good energy, let's go, let's make it happen, always kind to other people. And so when I was working as general manager at Starbucks, I was probably I was great at motivating people. Oh, Jesus. Just by not me saying, hey, guys, let's do this, but just by being that person that just did work and came in with a good mood. When you naturally come in, and that's also comes with self-confidence and stuff like that, when you come in as a person that is ready to work and ready to do the stuff and let's do teamwork and all that, by nature people want to follow that energy. It just is, it's natural. Now, I do, if you can't tell, I'm getting a little uncomfortable here with the position. Now, being a good motivator does not mean that you are a good leader, okay? I was very much a person of I can do it all, I can do it all myself, or let me do that for you. I took all of it on, and that's not really how leadership works, or at least in how I deem it. I think being a good leader, and very much so, this is me being a father to my boys, okay? Being a good leader means that you can transfer. It's almost like teaching someone how to fish versus giving them the fish. Other people can feel inspired by you and kind of want to do something, but transferring a skill to somebody or helping other people get to the point where they feel confident and they can do what they need to do, leading people, it takes a little bit more grace. I find that leadership is not about giving someone the answer. It's more about encouraging them to find the answer themselves, okay? And what I mean by that is, and there's this question-based framework that I use, and not my own, but I find that it works really well. That let's just take my boys, for instance. Me being a leader to them. What I want is, I don't want to specifically be the leader. I want to be the person that encourages other people to be empowered to then lead themselves, okay? And maybe that's the job, or I find the job as a leader of being that. You want to empower people to have confidence in themselves and be able to lead and do the thing that they need to do, versus them having to follow you. I don't want people to follow me specifically. So with my boys, it might be King might be man, I'm trying to figure out how to add this game mod or this, whatever to the computer. And now, of course, I could just do it for him. I could download the thing and bring it up and here you go. But that doesn't really teach him anything. It doesn't help him see that he can do it himself. So instead, I do more a question-based framework where it's he's I can't figure this out. I'm what do you think the first thing we should do? And he's well, maybe we should go to YouTube. Do you think that's a good idea? Yeah, we should go to YouTube. Okay. What do you think we should search for? Oh, we definitely need to search for this one in this version. Okay, cool. And then, and he's looking at videos. Do you think that's a good video? He's what do you think, Dad? I was I don't know. What do you think? You push it back on them, And all you're doing is you're helping guide them to make their own decisions for them. As a leader, you're just helping them understand that they can be confident in themselves. And when you have self-confidence in yourself, and then you can help other people be confident in themselves too, my God, it's full circle. It's a beautiful thing. And so he'll do that, and he'll go through it, and sometimes they'll mess up. And then you're like, okay, well, what do you think happened? Why do you think that happened? Oh, because, maybe we're out of space. And you just keep on encouraging them to kind of ask questions for themselves. And I think that's the ability of an elite, of a leader. Someone that can, you can motivate someone and get people like, let's go. But I think the real thing is if you can instill self-confidence in them, transfer that to them. Because what happens is now, if you don't have to everyone following you, you really have departments or people that can lead themselves. And they may consult with you or come back to you every now and again for big problems that they're trying, hairy problems they're trying to figure out. But they know that they can figure it out. They know that they just need this one thing, and they can keep on doing it. And I think that is what being a leader is. And I think that comes so much down to, one, being self-confident in yourself, and then being able to empower other people to be confident in themselves. Guys, if you made it here, you guys are deep divers. You made it to the end, snorkel emoji. Let me know in the comments. You made it to the deep end. We are now in the deep end. And as promised, I will answer these questions for you that we talked about at the very beginning of this. All right, ready? Here we go. We've got... All right, so why do I struggle with low self-confidence? I really think that this comes down to childhood trauma. I just think that you were, and I can't speak exactly for yourself, but I can talk for myself. I was told always, that I was not good enough by the school system. I was told I was not good enough by my environment living in the projects. I was told I was not good enough by my brothers and my sisters when they bullied me and hit me and did all sorts of shit, right? Not crazy stuff that kids don't do, but still, it didn't give, instead of it being like, yeah, Will, you got this, you can do this, I always felt like it was always, oh, you're so dumb, or you can't do this, or you're a weakling, or you're all these different things. And so that, I think it starts at the beginning. Parents also shunning their kids, yo, I gotta work, I gotta do this. And I see it, and it's easy to do as a parent, because you do have to provide security for the family. You do have to do all these things, and it can be overwhelming when you have, a lot of kids or a lot of responsibilities. And so it's very easy for you not to get to not get the confidence you need early on in life. And then that just continues to compound as you have more and more situations that come up, like not being able to talk to the girl, or not being invited to the party, or not, there's so many situations where if you don't speak up, you'll just get passed on. And I think that is why you probably struggle with self-confidence. I think it started early on in your childhood. It did for me. And the way to unpack that is to realize that you are enough. You already are enough right now where you're at. You can always get better, but you're enough right now. You're going to be even more enough tomorrow. Okay. How do I build self-confidence? We use this whole video to kind of talk deeply about how maybe to build self-confidence. But if I had to kind of summarize it, I think it's just self-love. I really think you taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself, just really, truly loving yourself and who you are. I think that's the igniter to build self-confidence. Now, of course, there's skill development and stuff like that, development in yourself or development in a craft or whatever. All this is just self-development. Anything that you do, you're adding to your brain, to your knowledge or whatever. And the more reps, the more things that you do well, the more you can feel empowered, to I am enough. I am an amazing dad. I am an amazing mom. Just putting that in there and knowing that you are. Surrounding yourself with people that are positive and contribute to You are enough, because the negative people around you that say you aren't, or are victims, they will absolutely. It's the whole thing. You are the sum of the top 5 people that you're around most. And so be very careful with who the voices that you surround yourself. Surround yourself with YouTube, like people on YouTube or TikTok, whatever it is, whoever the people that build you up and bring you up and make you feel best in the world, whether it is a influencer or an actual person, surround yourself with that. Like that's what I would say. Because man, it's so powerful seeing people that I aspire to be, or that they're just doing it, they're crushing it. Like Stephen Bartlett is just another person I'm watching right now that I'm like, man, this guy, he's doing it. And it makes me feel confident in myself. Like, yeah, there's a delta between that, but I'm like, yo, let's go. Let's get it. And so, yeah, that's how I would recommend building self-confidence. And then, how can I stop caring about other people's opinions? I think the easiest way to stop caring about other people's opinions is you cut all of those opinions out, okay? Like, typically, caring about other people's opinions is because you're hearing those people's opinions on the regular. And you don't have to be surrounded by negative opinions. You just don't. This is not being delusional and not hearing the other side of an argument or whatever, or the other side, like other, but the ones that are really tearing you down and making you feel less than, they are not healthy and good for you. Anyone that says you can't, or you won't, or you shouldn't, or why are you doing that, or that's stupid, or you can't do that, you're not X. Be very careful of any of those voices, because you may need to change the frequency in which you hear those voices, because they will get in your head. You already have your own things in your head. Why would you want to add more people's voices that don't make you feel good into your head? Remove as much as you can out of your life. Replace them with encouraging words, podcasts, self-development books, all that stuff. And yeah, you'll find that a lot of those voices just disappear. Let's see, anything else we got here? How can I improve my confidence in social situations? I think it just comes down to the fact of realizing that most people are self-conscious. So most people are terrified. Most people are like shoulders up like this. And being the warm energy in a room, like it just changes everything. You're able to dive deeper with people. And this may start off small, but you'll find that, you start talking to somebody. And then all you do, like what you can do a lot of times is it's almost like a yes and thing. Like impromptu, like you can do a yes and. Someone might be like, I don't know how to start a conversation. I don't know how to keep a conversation going. And so that might make you feel self-conscious. But if you find just a few things that you like about a person, those things will open up the narrative for other things, and then you can just naturally dive deep into those things. It's like, oh man, wow, you got a beard, your beard looks great. You're like, oh yeah, your beard looks great too. I'm like, yeah, I use XYZ oil. Oh, you use that oil? Oh no, I actually do this and this and this with my hair routine when I wake up. Oh, so what else do you do like in your morning routine? And you can just spiral out of control there. There's just so many open points that if you lead with a compliment, lead with a genuine, caring compliment to someone, you open the door up to someone's heart and energy. And then they sometimes reciprocate like, whoa, thanks, I appreciate that. And then you can then they are more receptive to hearing you and talk. You guys can go back and forth. And that's what I would do. Like if you have a hard time in social situations, just give a genuine compliment and then talk about that thing. Oh, wow, yeah, I love like Christmas sweaters. I love Panic at the Disco. Like, you just kind of like, you're like, yeah, me too. I listened to this one. Have you heard this one? And then it just spirals, like you said. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging and vibing with me on this journey, this deep dive of self-development. If you love this video, you can deep dive into how to overcome procrastination popping up on the screen right now.